One thing has always been, is now, and will never be lost. What is it?
Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. This insightful saying by Leo Tolstoy is a valuable reminder for all of us to reflect inwardly. The renowned 19th century Russian author suggested that we ask ourselves what God really wants us to do. As Leo Tolstoy said, "In the name of God, stop a moment, seize your work, look around you." A novel by Tolstoy is not a work of art, but a piece of life, stated Matthew Arnold, a 19th century British poet and critic. In addition to his renowned epic novels, Leo Tolstoy wrote essays and letters that conveyed the spiritual truths he came to realize in life. Along with adopting and promoting the vegetarian diet, he became deeply interested in spirituality and living by the ethical teachings of Christ. The concepts he conveyed through his writings about peace and the fulfillment of God's will greatly influenced 20th century leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Supreme Master Ching Hai once spoke of Tolstoy in a group meditation session with our association members in July 1997 in Los Angeles, USA.
Because Tolstoy was a practitioner, That's why when you read his story, most the story about spirituality, about God, and very happy, very positive. It's very good to read him, to read his book. You try. If you haven't, you try. You can read more, Such things are very good for you.
We would like to share an insightful excerpt of Volume 1, The Soul from The Pathway of Life, a collection of Tolstoy's philosophies on religion, life, death, and more. The soul and the material world. Men frequently think that only that exists which they can touch with their hands. However, quite on the contrary, only that truly is that cannot be seen, heard, or touched, what we call I, our soul. Confucius said, "The sky and the earth are great, but they have color, shape, and size. But there is something in man that can think of everything and has no color, shape, or size. Thus, if the whole world were dead, that which is within man could of itself give life to the world." Iron is more solid than stone. Stone is more solid than wood. Wood is more solid than water. Water is more solid than air, but that which cannot be touched, heard, or seen is more solid than anything. One thing has always been, is now, and will never be lost. What is it? It is the soul in man. It is well for man to think what he is as regards his body. His body is large as compared with that of a flea, insignificant compared with the earth. It is also well to think that our own earth is a grain of sand compared with the sun, and the sun is a grain of sand compared with Sirius, and Sirius is as nothing compared with still other stars, and so without end. It is clear that man with his body is nothing compared with the sun and the stars, and to think that we were not even thought of 100, 1,000, many thousands of years ago, but other men like unto us were still born, grew up, and died, that of the millions and millions of men such as I, nothing remains, neither bones nor even the dust of bones, and that after me millions and millions of people will live, and that grass will grow from my bones, and that sheep will feed on the grass, and nothing will remain of me, not a grain of dust, nor even a memory. Is it not clear that I am nothing? Nothing indeed, but this nothing has a conception of itself and of its place in the universe, and if it has such a conception, this conception is far from nothing. It is something that is more important than the entire universe, for without this conception within me, and within other creatures like me, that which I call the infinite universe would not exist. The spiritual and the material principles in man. What are you? A man. What sort of man? Wherein do you differ from others? I am the son of such and such parents. I am old or young, rich or poor. Each one of us is a specific individual, different from all other people, man, woman, adult, boy or girl. And in each one of these specific individuals dwells a spiritual being, the same in all of us. So that each one of us is at one and the same time an individual, John or Natalie, and a spiritual being which is the same in all. And when we say, I will, it means that John or Natalie will, or sometimes it may mean that the spiritual being, which is the same in all of us, wills something, and thus it may happen that John and Natalie desire one thing, and the spiritual creature that dwells within them does not desire that same thing at all, but wills something entirely different. Someone nears the door. I inquire, who's there? The answer is, it is I. What I? I who came, is the answer, and the peasant boy enters. He is surprised that anyone should inquire who is meant by I. He is surprised because he feels within himself that one spiritual being, which is one in us all, and wonders why I should inquire about something which should be clear to everybody. His answer refers to the spiritual eye, but my question referred to the little window through which that eye peeps out into the world. Some say that what we call ourselves is merely the body, that my reason, my soul, and my love, all of these come from the body. We might with as much right assert that what we call our body is merely the food by which the body is nourished. It is true that my body is merely the transformed food that has been assimilated by my body, and that there would be no body without food. But my body is not the food. Food is requisite for the life of the body, but it is not the body. The same is true of the soul. It is true that without the body there would be no soul, yet my soul is not the body. The body is merely requisite for the soul, but the body is not the soul. If it were not for the soul, I should not know about my body. The principle of life is not in the body, but in the soul. When we say it was, or it will be, or it may be, we speak of bodily life. But besides the bodily life which was and will be, we know of another life, the spiritual life. And the spiritual life is not something that was or that will be, but something that is right now. This is the real life. Happy is the man who lives this life of the spirit and not the life of the body. Lord Christ teaches man that there is something within him that raises him about his life with its vanities, fears, and passions. The man who has received the doctrine of Lord Christ shares the experience of the bird that has lived in ignorance of his wings and suddenly realizes that it has them and that it may soar, be free, and fear nothing. Happy viewers! Thank you for joining us on today's selections from The Pathway of Life by Leo Tolstoy, Vegetarian, Volume 1, The Soul, Part 2 of 2, on Words of Wisdom.